Hey everyone, welcome to another Construct 3 tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to show and hide user interface elements in your game. So what we're heading for is something like this. We have a user interface kind of block down the bottom here, and it's got some shuttle parts, and when I play the game and pick up those parts, I want them to show in the user interface down the bottom. So those are not, just to be clear, those are the parts we're picking up. Alright, so that's what we're going for. So if we come to the kind of the pre-version, let's start with a little intro to the layout. So I've already created some sprites here for the parts that we want to show in the user interface. So those are there. We'll put them on a little background in a moment. Just to be clear, we also have some sprites up here which look the same, but these are the parts that are being picked up in the game by the player, okay? So the first thing we're going to do now is to create a sprite for the background, and I'm going to put it down the bottom. And to do that, I'm just going to draw a little rectangle, keeping it simple, like this. Notice that I've got the fill and border boxes checked, so that's why I've got this nice fill effect going on. And that's all I need for that. So there's my background for the UI. I might stretch it a little bit. Cool. And now I need to grab, so not those parts, but I want to grab my user interface shuttle parts. And I don't know if I can drag them all on at once. No, I can't. But I'm going to grab them one at a time, drag them onto the layout. Okay. So I might as well put them all on now, and we'll see how they look in a moment. So yeah, I'm just going to tidy them up a little bit. Oh. Okay. Not perfect because it doesn't need to be for now, but you get the idea. Here's our user interface. Okay, cool. And another thing I'd like to do here is to show you how to make that background a container for those objects, because we'll need to use a container so that when we get to the code, we can select which parts from the background we want to show, okay, which parts inside the background we want to show. So to do that, what I need is I click on the background again, and I go to the container section and the properties, and then I'm going to click which elements I want to be inside that container. I'm holding shift here. Okay. I want to control them. Alright, so I select the parts that want to be inside the container, and they all appear there, so that's cool. A couple of other things I'll just show you just in case things went a bit awry. Like if your little sprites ended up behind the background, you might need to change this Z index here, or the layer. Hopefully your layer is the same as the background, the UI layer in my case. But if they're behind the background, then you right click, you go Z order and center top, okay? Or the opposite for the background. All right, so one last thing I'll do here is I will make sure that each of those shuttle parts inside the container are initially invisible. So I just make sure that this box is checked so that when we play the game they don't all show up straight away. And oh yeah, and another thing I'll show you is just that if you try to move this container, it doesn't move as you expect. But if you want it all to move together, then you click on, then you can come down to the container section, click on wrap, and that will allow these to move as you would expect. The container is now kind of holding the other parts inside it. Okay, time to write some code then. So we want a triggering event so that when the player picks up one of those shuttle parts in the game, the UI is updated, okay? So we can go add event, a player event, so when the player collides, with for example, the first shuttle parts. Remember, this is not those user interface shuttle parts. This is the ones that are in game. And then I can say, I also want to do something else here. I want, when that happens, I want to add a sub-event. So add a sub-event so that I can start to pick parts from that user interface background. So the user interface background is called that at the moment. I'll change that in a moment. Click next, and we want to pick we want the condition for that to be, is it visible? Okay, so that just allows us to basically run some code on that part. I'm going to change the name of it just to be, make it a bit more clear. So this is the user interface shuttle, parts, BG, background. Okay, there it is, updated. So so now we get to writing the actual code. The code we want here is going to be in script form. So I need to right click and go to add script. Unfortunately, Construct 3 doesn't allow us to do this indexing stuff easily with the visual code. So anyway, I'm going to start typing this out, and I'll show you the docs afterwards. Okay, so I go to runtime objects.ui, and it's that background part that I just named. And what I want to do now is to get the first, get first picked instance. So that means actually get the instance that's picked by this condition. And then I also want to do get other container instances. So that's going to get the pieces, the parts of the shuttle that are inside of that user interface container. And I need to, because it'll return an array of parts, so there's 4 of them, so it's going to return all of them. I'm going to choose which one I want. So in this case, I'm going to choose by index 0, the first part. And then lastly, I say is visible. This is how I set whether it's showing or not, and set it to true. So that will set that. Make sure you press enter, not escape here, because you'll lose your code, or just click outside. Okay, so that will show hopefully the first part when we pick it up. So let's have a play and see what happens. So nothing in the UI at the moment, and where's the part to pick up? There's one. Oh, cool. And when I pick it up, there it is. So I forgot to destroy it in game, so I'll just fix that quickly. So of course, when the player does pick up that first shuttle part, it also needs to be destroyed as part of the gameplay. So that's that fixed. Okay, cool. So I'll quickly show you that. So there's the part, and it destroys. Cool. So really, now that that's all working, I'll show you the docs real quick. So if we want to know more about the functions that I just typed in, this is how you find it. So go to Construct 3 manual. It's in this section for scripting because we use the JavaScript code to show and hide that part, and it's under scripting interface, and eventually we'll get there. Object interfaces is the section that I'm using, and then of course if I scroll further down, there's this iObject class, and this has all the functions that we can call from a game object basically. So for example, the one that we just called was get first picked instance, and that will return the first instance that is picked by an event's conditions. Okay, so just to recap, so the condition that they're referring to is this sub-event condition. So it's getting the UI shuttle part background with that call there. So you have a bit of read of those if you want to dig in a bit deeper. There's actually quite a bit you can do with the code in Construct 3, the JavaScript interface. Right, so yeah, let's just finish off then by extending this code now to make it work for the other shuttle parts. So I can actually refactor this code into a function, which will be handy for the other shuttle parts that we can pick up. So I'm going to come down here in this nice group I've created. I'm going to create a function, and I'm going to call it show UI element. Okay, and then I'm going to add a parameter to it as well. So add a parameter, and the parameter is going to be the index for the part we want to show. And then basically I'm going to drag that condition down into my function. Come on, you can do it. Okay, maybe I need to scroll down a bit. Let's try this again. So, yep, there we go. And I'll drag the code, the script there as well. Okay, so I don't need that sub event here anymore. This code now I can call from this triggering event when the player hits the pickup part. So all I need to do is go to functions, show UI element, and then it's going to say, hey, which index do you want to use? And I'm going to put in 0 for now. I also forgot to fix the I need to, obviously this is just hard coded to 0, so I need to set that to the parameter index here. The way to do that is local vars.index. Okay. So if we run this again, this should do the same thing. It's just that I've reorganized the code. And yeah, it still works. So that's a good sign. All right, so we'll just now extend this to the other parts. So I can basically, I want to do the same thing here for each of the 4 different shuttle parts. So I'll just Control-C to copy, paste it 3 times. Not the best coding practice, but it's what I can do in the free version of Construct 3. So I'm going to go to shuttle part 2 when that player collides with it. I'm going to destroy shuttle part 2. Remember, these are the ones that you can pick up in the game. But then I need to change the index to 1. That's to select the second element in the user interface. So I'll go through and change all of these real quick. So, sorry. Shuttle part 3, done. Anyone who's written any LabVIEW code, does this remind you of using LabVIEW? It did for me. Lots of clicking and repetitive coding practice. So that's 2 actually, for the third part. And then on shuttle part 4, okay. Talking while coding, not my best strength. I still haven't selected the correct part. Come on. All right, so shuttle part 4. Destroy and change this to 3. Okay. All right, cool. So I'm going to test this now. I've actually fudged a bit of my code to make this testable before the session. So I'm going to quickly hack my code again so that I can actually pick up all of the parts. So don't worry too much about this bit here. Okay, so this will show us now the enemies will drop all of the shuttle parts. All right, cool. Let's try it out. Is it showing? One more part? Should we try and find the last part? Of course, now that I'm playing it in front of people, it's not going to give me a part. And that's what happens when you use completely random numbers in games. There it is. All right, cool. Nice. So that's all working. All right, cool. So that was how you show and hide UI elements in Construct 3. Well, it's the easiest way I could find. So yeah, happy coding, happy game making. Until next time. See ya.